Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. Today we're going to take a look at the Pat McGrath relaunch of her liquid matte lipsticks. I have two shades here, Wild Orchid and Divine Rose. And we're also going to take a look at her highlighter, part of the Divine Rose collection. The shade is actually just called Divine Rose. We're going to compare that against the highlighter she released last year, which is right here, and the shade is called Champagne Gold. And I want to start with the liquid lipsticks first, and also give you guys a brief history. These were first released in 2017, and everybody who enjoys a matte lipstick probably got a hold of one of these. And if you're a fan of Pat McGrath, you also probably have, at least one of these lipsticks. I don't. I did not get into Pat McGrath until 2019, so these are new for me. While I enjoy a matte lip, they don't wear comfortably on me because my lips tend to dry out quite easily and quickly. So I tend to stick with satin lipsticks or, the lipstick lip balm hybrid types. But I do love how a matte lip looks. It's just dramatic no matter what shade you have on. And it's easy to turn your makeup look into a statement. So I just love how it looks. What I'm looking for in these is that they would wear comfortably enough to get me through a couple of hours. Like if I were to wear this out for a dinner, and it would last comfortably and it didn't get all over the place, I think this satisfies for me a good liquid matte lipstick. She retired these, I think in 2018 or possibly early 2019, and so they have just recently been relaunched 2021. And I think, again, anybody who enjoy these lipsticks have ordered to restock or replenish their collection. So let's get into some hand swatches here. We will first start with the shade Wild Orchid. A very pigmented swatch. I did swipe a few times, but I didn't dip back into the tube for more. These liquid lipsticks are made in the States with US and imported ingredients. They do have a shelf life of 12 months. And this is Divine Rose. So Divine Rose is a mauve shade, which this was the initial shade that caught my eye. And actually this shade here and another Divine Rose shade were released first before the relaunch. In terms of packaging of these lipsticks, it is plastic, but it is considerable and it doesn't feel cheap. I know packaging is really important to Pat McGrath fans and collectors. We like our packaging to look as nice as possible. And it does have this kind of vinyl vibe to it, which is very much part of the Pat McGrath aesthetics. The boxes these lipsticks come in, cartons, and you have the Pat McGrath logo here. You've got some graphic design, and printed in gold foil is the name of the product, etc. This Divine Rose shade, the packaging matches her Divine Rose 1 Mothership palette. And I think the giveaway here is not only this rose, but also the diamonds on the rose, which matches these diamonds. Before we get into the lip swatches, I do want to let you guys know that I had Wild Orchid on for a good 5 hours before I sat down to film this video, just to see what the texture was like and the comfort level. And you can see there's still a stain here, like a pinkish stain on my lips. This is from Wild Orchid, so it does speak to the lasting or staying power of these liquid formulas and just how strong they are. And if I were to lip swatch Wild Orchid first, I think that's really gonna impact how Divine Rose is gonna look. So we'll first start with Divine Rose. I'll take that off and then we'll put on Wild Orchid. I think this is a beautiful shade. This is what I had imagined it to be. It's a deep mauve shade and it looks beautiful. What I have on my eyes today is from Divine Rose 2, and I think the shade matches Divine Rose. It's very much on theme with the whole Divine Rose collection. While we wait for the lips to dry, I'm going to do some swatches with other lipsticks that I find in shade are similar. I also have a matte lipstick or a matte Stilo from Chantecaille that I'd like to compare to Wild Orchid. This matte crayon from Chantecaille is a comfortable matte lipstick. So what that means, I find, is there's more oils in it and as a result a bit of a sheen. So this is not a true matte in the sense of it just sucks in all the light and it gives you this dramatic, nicely outlined lip effect. And you can really see it when you put the two side by side. This is softer, but this is just like, wow, like right in your face. Another lipstick I have, and this is just to compare shades because the finish is actually glossy. And this is from Suku. I was really curious to see how it would compare to this shade. In fact, I think it's closer when you look at it like this to Divine Rose. They're not the same. It's not like this is the glossy version of this shade, but I think they're a little bit closer. Now that the product has had a couple minutes to settle on my lips, I'm going to come in for a closer look. So you can definitely see the lines on my lips. Matte lipstick just tends to do that, right? It settles into the lines of your lips. And I would recommend to hydrate, exfoliate if you can, before you apply the matte lipstick. It is a little bit tacky. And from the initial wear test I did off camera for about 5 hours, it does dry down some more over time. To me, this is a true matte. And I do want to demonstrate for you guys the transferability of this lipstick. I do know from, again, the earlier wear test is as it dries down more, it becomes less transferable. So I want to see what it looks like right now. 5 minutes after applying, it's had some time to settle, but it's not quite as dry as it would eventually be. Let's see what that looks like. So I got my water glass here. You see there's no lip stain or anything. So this is what it looks like. There is some, but not to the level of a gloss or a satin lipstick. And you can not tell that I just had a drink. Let me take this off and then I'll come back to swatch Wild Orchid. As I was removing the last swatch on my lips and on my hand, I'm reminded of how strong or how much of a stain you get from these lipsticks. So these are the two swatches on my hand. I use one of these magic erasers or makeup erasers. Yeah, makeup eraser and just water, and I basically went over the back of my hand a couple of times. Without makeup remover, it's not going to disappear. It'll probably take a couple of days. Same thing with the lips. When I went in, it was just really stuck on my lips and I had to go use makeup remover. So let's try Wild Orchid. Oh, by the way, when you're closing this, it clicks. You can't hear it, but you can feel it. And that's when you know it's secure and closed. You're not going to get product all over your purse or your vanity. So I think that's a nice touch that you can actually feel like you've shut it completely. And that is just from doing that. Super pigmented. I really like this shade. This is the second time I'm wearing this in the same day, and this confirms for me, like, yeah, this was definitely one of those shades I was very attracted to right from the beginning. And I don't have this color in a matte finish, so I know where to go in my collection when I'm looking for something like this. I want to note that just after you put this on, you can still go in to clean up lines. I use a Q-tip, but you know, you could use your finger or something like this too, and you could reshape it and then add some back on. It's still workable. After that, like maybe after a couple of minutes, it just becomes a little bit harder. Overall, my impression of these liquid lipsticks, if you are a matte lipstick fan and you want something that has not a lot of transferability because you're looking for true longevity, this is it. I do believe as you take sips of your drink throughout the day, water, you know, whatever the case, you could probably have a light meal, and this will very much still be on your lips at the end of that. I do see needing to touch up in terms of like lip balm hydration a couple of hours in. The other thing that was notable is probably 3-4 hours into my wear test, I actually forgot I had liquid lipstick on, or matte lipstick on, and I was pleasantly surprised because I did know that these lipsticks are supposed to be like a matte lipstick, super pigmented, and you know, has longevity and staying power, but they're not supposed to be like blatantly uncomfortable. And I do think that is exactly what you get from the product. And if you're somebody that you don't have particularly dry lips, that's not really an issue, not something you think much about, I think this is really a great matte lip product. For the rest of us, I do recommend hydrating your lips adequately and then just have a lip balm or something on hand to add back to, especially just this area here throughout the day whenever you feel like you need to. Let's move on now to the highlighter. The highlighter came in this box here, which matches the design on Divine Rose 2 Mothership palette. This is what the highlighter looks like. I love this packaging. While it doesn't exactly match the chrome pink packaging of Divine Rose 2 limited, I think this is limited, she did bring it back though, and I wonder if it's still in stock. Well, if it is, this is the one I'm going to link to on her website. So once you open it, there's a compact mirror, and then the product itself. It's beautiful. It's like mesmerizing to look at. This sheen right here, that's right around here, is from me swatching it. So before the swatch, it's a little bit more matte. But once you dig into this pearlescent, sparkly formula, you can see it really come through. So the highlighter is made in Italy and has a shelf life of 18 months. Let's do a swatch of it. I think it's really pretty. Pink, gold, rose gold. I think it's really, really pretty. And this highlighter was released by Pat McGrath last year as part of her holiday collection. The packaging is a lot different. It still comes in this box here, but you open it in this kind of envelope sleeve, whereas this one, you just have to kind of dig in your finger to open it, and it's very snug. I thought I almost had to rip the top off to open it, and even now, although the product is not in the box, it's still kind of tough to open. Okay, I'm not gonna attempt that, I don't wanna rip it. So I prefer this packaging more, it's just easier. This actually matches the lip product packaging, where you also just slide this open. So just small details. For the highlighter itself, it is a paperweight. It is hefty. It doesn't have a mirror, and it's not a compact since you have to unscrew the top, but it has really cool embossing. And let's do a swatch of that. And the two are notably different. This is a creamy, it's creamy to the touch, and it's more of a metallic. This is much more sparkly in comparison, and it's more of a gelée powder texture. So I don't have blush on because I want to try to put this all over at least one side of the cheek to see what that looks like. I'm curious if you could use it as a very luminous blush and have that be a look, or it's truly just meant to be used as a highlight. So that was 2. I went in twice. I think you can use this as a blush itself. It's a very luminous blush and there's not a whole lot of pigment, but depending on the rest of your look, it might actually go very well. I think with this dramatic matte lip, just having that sheen and some color, some pink, is like good enough. It looks nice. It looks like it could go together. Now let's actually put some blush on this side. I'm gonna go in with Wayne Goss's Coral Rose, and we're just lightly adding some blush here. Then we'll go into the highlighter. So I think like this with the studio light, both sides actually look pretty similar. When I look at just below in the vanity mirror, also under the same lighting conditions, I actually think just a highlighter paired with this lip looks better. It's almost like the lips, the center stage. You know, this is like where you want people to focus on, and everything else should just complement it. So I actually prefer this more than putting it as a very concentrated product right on here, the high points. And these past couple of days, my skin just, I'm having, you know, breakouts and I see more texture. So adding this highlighter on, I just see more texture being, you know, highlighted basically, like coming through because of that. And just putting it in a bigger area all over the cheeks, it's getting me better results. So partially has to do with the quality of my skin recently, and the other is with this lip, I do think this one I prefer. This highlighter that was released last year with the Champagne Gold shade is made in Taiwan, and it has a shelf life of 12 months. If I were to pick from one of these two, I would choose Divine Rose. The highlighter from last year has a metallic finish. It's quite subtle. If you like subtle, this would actually be a good choice because I do like the paperweight. I mean, this is a statement for your vanity. But of the product, I do think the highlighter, the shade, the sparkle, the drama that you get from it is a beautiful addition to the Divine Rose collection. And it is made in Italy. I find that with highlighters made in Italy, they tend to be, you know, what I enjoy the most. It's a beautiful formulation, and I have yet to come across a highlighter that's made in that country that I don't enjoy. So it has the origin, you know, all of that going for it. But if you are a collector, that would be a tough choice. I would also be a little bit surprised if you don't already have these two. So I think ultimately it depends on what you're looking for. Do you want a highlight that has a metallic finish or with a sparkly finish? I do think that bottom line, this is true to the Divine Rose collection. So if you love Divine Rose, you're gonna get exactly that. More of the same beautiful rose pink tones with that special something to it. So speaking of Divine Rose, I would love to compare this highlight to other Divine Rose or rose related product from Pat McGrath. There was a quad released along with this highlighter at the same time that I don't have because I already have Divine Rose 1 and 2 plus the quad ritualistic rose. This was released in 2019. So I just like to take a few shades that I find maybe perhaps could be similar to this to swatch against. The quad that I didn't get and was released at the same time as this highlighter, there is actually a shade on there from what I've seen in swatches to be very similar. Like, they pair very well together. So I don't expect to find anything that close from anything I have. I'm first taking this shade here. This is Astral Rose Orchid. And again, this is from the Astral Blitz Quad collection. This is more peachy and this is more pink, but it has that vibe. And of course the payoff here being an Astral Blitz formula, it's very, very sparkly. Actually, I'm gonna add some of that to the middle, the center of my lid. Oh, next level bling. Look at that. Yeah, wow. And looking at Divine Rose 2, there's really nothing on here that I find comparable to the new highlighter. This here Skin Show shade does have, you know, some pink and peach to it. Has that very creamy metallic texture. We can swatch it against the highlighter from last year. So not quite the same. This is very, very light, and the highlighter from last year is actually smoother. And from the Divine Rose 1 collection, there's really not much here, and even going for the Skin Show shade is a bit of a stretch. So I won't take any shades here to compare against. So there you have it. Those are all my swatches, comparisons, and my thoughts on these products. I hope you found this video helpful, especially if you're trying to decide what to get from the latest release, and also what to get from her massive Divine Rose collection. And I so look forward to her next Mothership palette. Of course, I don't know when that's coming, but I hope we get 1 or 2 new ones this year. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.